Hello and welcome to Weekend Wisdom. Today we're going to talk about buying or renting your home. Is it still the American dream? So grab your cup of coffee, sit back, let's get started. Hello, this is Michael Loftus for Wealth and Wisdom TV, where education is the key to a successful financial future. First up, don't forget you can click Show More for additional information and links to today's video, specifically to some articles and calculators that we've made available. So, The American Dream first came out in 1931, The Epic of America, a classic book. So, when you look at The American Dream, it was about home ownership, right? There's no doubt about it. We've had that for years until the most recent crash, where the opinions have changed a little bit. So when I look at real estate, if you buy that and you're getting a monthly income because you're renting it out, that's an investment. If you buy it, you develop it, that is an investment because you sell it for a profit. If you buy it, live in it, that's an expense. Until and unless you actually sell it for any type of profit. But is there a profit there? Well, before we get there, we're going to talk about the fact that housing confidence has soared. No doubt about it. Everybody's feeling better. We have more equity in our homes, which you would expect after the big crash of 2008. The other good thing is home ownership, first-time buyers, is really soaring. Kind of surprising, didn't expect the millennials to do this. Let's look at some data. First up, average home, $289,000. Average rent nationally, about $1,700. Mortgage rates today, about 4.5%, 5%. This was at the end of the year. Metropolitan rent affordability. So what does it cost you? In Los Angeles, almost 50% of your income goes to rent. Yikes. How can anything be left over? Now, the national average is about 29%, up the street in Philadelphia, 28%. Little more reasonable. How about the homes you're buying as reference to your salary? Los Angeles, almost 9 times your salary. Say make $100,000, you can figure that one out. Nationally, about 3.3, much more realistic. And then here in the Philadelphia area, about 3.2. Let's look at some pros and cons. Renting, flexibility, mobility. If you want to move, obviously you can generally get out of that. No down payment, you get to save that money, maybe use it for something else. We'll talk about that. More savings because of that, only in the short term, of course. Reduced monthly cost. Now, we have a calculator, a couple of them below you can click on to go through those numbers to see if it makes sense for you. No money or time for maintenance. That's a big one. How about some cons? Well, no control over the property, no equity, right? You also have to look at annual rent increases, few tax benefits. Maybe you can get, if you're self-employed, some deductions on a home office. And then neighbors, really not being able to control your neighbors. Not that we can, but that is an issue. Owning, pros, feel good, right? No doubt about it. Sense of ownership, stability, building equity, more savings than renting. We'll see about that one. Tax benefits, maybe, maybe not. You got to look into that. New tax code, husband, wife, you're getting $24,000 in automatic deductions. They were trying to basically take that away. So you may or may not get that. That was a big one before. More space and layout options, which means you have control. Cons, illiquidity. Yes, I know that a lot of people might do a line of credit. You no longer get a deduction on that line of credit, so you have to be careful there. High upfront costs, down payments, furniture, you name it. Not very flexible. You want to stay in at home for at least 5 years to make it worthwhile. Extra cost, specifically, you're responsible for all that maintenance. Other things to consider when owning. First one, homeowner's insurance. The way to figure that out, cost of the home divided by 1,000 times $3.50. If you have a $500,000 home divided by 1,000 times $350, we're looking at about $1,750 a year. seems about right. PMI, if you can't put down 20%, you've got an issue there, additional costs. Taxes, the average taxes in America, believe it or not, is 21-27. I'm sure there's people in big cities laughing right now. I know, because when I lived in the Philadelphia area, $1,700 a month, but that's about the right number for us down here at the beach. Next up is maintenance. You got to look about 1% value of the house each year. $500,000 house, $5,000 sounds about right with all the little things you have to do to keep it up. And you don't also factor in this case, big ones. Our HVAC just went out, and it was in fact a big one. Let's really look at the number here. Here's an Excel spreadsheet that I created. Took a $500,000 home, your 20% down payment, mortgage is about $24,000 a year. When you look at that, I've got taxes at a 1.5% tax rate and 1% for maintenance, and then growing at the inflation rate, which we have at 2%. So as you look here, you go down, house goes from 500 to 887, decent increase, and this is just making the payments, refinancing, not making extra payments, etc. So when you look at this, the big number is $1.2 million in expenses, money out, and the house only grew through $387. So you have to look at that. So what about rent? Let's say if you're paying $1,500 a month, growing that at 2% a year for 30 years, it's going to be about $730,000. What if we took that down payment, put it in the market, add $1,250 a year? So in this case, what we did was save the down payment, put it in the market, and then we'll take that $12,500 a year that you're not paying in taxes or maintenance, and that will be invested. I use a hypothetical number of 5%, and you're going to have $1 million over that time. So that looks pretty decent. How about real estate as an investment? Same scenario, the $24,000, add in taxes and maintenance costs, pass it on to the renter if you can, but in this case I did that, growing that at 2%, got about $1.4 million. That looks pretty good. So conclusion, I think it depends. Another thing that we talk to our clients about is making that one extra payment a year. All right, if you do that, it's going to reduce your mortgage by 15 years, which is going to really reduce the interest payment, because the way it works is this, the bottom half. So something we try and do. And then from there, owning, right? The reality is I own a home. I mean, you feel good about it, not all the time when your air conditioner goes out, but there is something about owning your own home over time. So it really depends on the situation. I think if you make that extra payment in your mortgage, it makes it much more worth it. What about rent? If you're going to be there short term, 5 or 10 years, it probably makes sense to rent. Unfortunately, that's the way I feel about that. So, as always, I hope that this was helpful to you in helping you make good financial decisions. Thanks so much for watching. Michael Loftus for Wealth and Wisdom TV.